Hello, beautiful souls. Namaste. Welcome. Lovely to have you here today. Friday is my weekly tarot chat, and today inspired by the opening of a Leo season. So as I wind up today, according to my moon journal, at 1:07 p.m. So towards the end of our time together, I will do a reading to open up Leo season. And so here we are in the final hours of, at least on the West Coast anyway, of Cancer season. And it's Friday. We're going to look at cards. We are going to have a good old chat. And yeah, so I thought I would put all of my botanical decks. So I have flower, tree, herb. This is kind of the theme for today. I really enjoy working with these decks in the summer, and we have had a very delayed summer in British Columbia so far this year. And I'm just started feeling yesterday, the day before yesterday, that maybe summer is finally arriving. My vegetable garden is very, very slow, and my flowers are behind everything. So I have one calendula that has come into bloom. Anyway, so today, 22nd of July, first day of Leo season, we're going to just get inspired by all of these beautiful, beautiful cards. Most of these you've already seen on my channel. I have really nothing new, but I just thought we would chat about them and perhaps how you use these cards, and I'll talk about how I use them and when I use them, and we might put some in combination, and then I'll choose a combo for the final reading for the end of our time. Okay, so thanks for being here, and hello to the Tarot twins, Tamian and Michelle Lynn. Welcome. Hello to Mira. Good evening to you, and Saskia. Welcome. Friday, félicitations to you, Donna. Welcome. And Hannah, lovely to have you here. Boiling hot here in Corfu. Wow. Well, it's a different, I'm not sure what latitude you are, but we are just, yeah, I'm really looking forward to summer. There are a few, also in the description box below, there is a plant video that I did some years ago, 3 years ago, I think, 2019. And what I did in that video is very different from what I'm doing today. Today is basically a show and tell. What I did 3 years ago was I looked at the medicine of the plants across several decks. So if 3 decks had poppy, I looked at poppy across 3 decks. So if you're interested in that level of specificity, go to the video from 3 years ago. It's got lots of views, and I've had lots of great feedback on it. So you can do that later this weekend. Hi, Christina. Welcome to you as well, too. And Dee, namaste. Hello, hello. Okay, so bright, summer bold, summer beautiful. I have released, passed on, sold a few of my botanical decks. One only needs so many, but why don't we start with a deck creator from Australia. I believe I have 4 of her decks. Oh my goodness. Actually, 1, 2. This is bizarre. Do you know what? I haven't even cracked this one open. I got this one some time ago. Wow. Okay. I guess this is going to be my new flower deck. That's hilarious. That shows you how many. Okay. That's funny. So Sherilyn Darcy, Australian creator. I have 1, 2, 3, and I have a mini as well too. So we'll look at all of her decks. And then Sharon, hello. No, you do not need a late pass. You are not late. We're just getting rolling here, saying hi to everybody. Hello to Angela. Welcome. Let us know where you're from, Angela, if you're new to my channel. Okay. And if the blinds start to go crazy with a little bit of breeze, I'll pop up and close them. One of the things I like about Sherilyn Darcy's decks are the versatility. And yeah, so these are all Rockpool Publishing. And let's start with this one that I haven't even cracked open. I believe this is from last year. This one is called The Language of Flower, The Language of Flowers, which is the same title as the mini. And so we'll look at both of these decks today, okay? And maybe what I'll also do is I will, if there's any common flowers, I will do my best to pull some of those out as well too. So this is a borderless deck. It is, it's got a really lovely palette. If you have followed my channel, you know how much I love purples and blues and so forth. So let's just go through and see what we've got here in this deck, because I have not looked at this other than on somebody else's channel. All right, so Venus Flytrap is the action card. Gardenia is awareness. Camellia is balance. Oleander is caution. These are gorgeous. Lavender is cleansing. Jade vine. I'm just going to hop up and close the window because those blinds are going to flutter, 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 flutter. And even though this is on a very different continent than where I am, there's a lot of the flowers that are common to where I live. So I have no problem working with her decks. Scottish primrose. Poet's Narcissus. The keyword is confidence. That's an unusual keyword. Let's just go and see what she's got going on here. Yes, it is a mass market deck, Christina. So let's go to number 8. Number 8. And her guidebooks are excellent too. So finding understanding and appreciating an inner truth and beauty while working on self-love and increasing in self-confidence. That is so interesting to spin it that way, because when you think about the energy of Narcissus, and there's a sense of self-doubt and perhaps even a disliking of oneself with that kind of behavior. So this is a really beautiful spin on that flower. Forget-me-not is connection, consciousness. This is the only deck I'm going to go through all of them because I haven't looked at them myself. Okay. Honey. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. Honey Grevillea. Don't have this, or it goes by a different name. Part of the research I did in the video that I mentioned earlier was because I was looking at the Latin names, and different deck creators used a different common name than I was familiar with. And it was a great exercise. Detachment is lotus. That is also very interesting because the medicine of lotus is one of transformation. And I suppose if there is a sense of flow and trust with that, that works perfect. Devotion. Look at the red rose card. That's gorgeous. Protea. I wish we had Protea here. It's such a beautiful flower. This is actually quite a common flower in many of the decks that I have, and I really love its energy. Delphinium. Enthusiasm. Cattleya orchid. Frangipani. Of course, we don't have Frangipani in Canada. Frangipani reminds me of Indonesia, Bali, and so forth. So this would be Northern Australia, I'm assuming. Gratitude, sweet pea. That's a pretty universal flower. Madonna lily is healing. Chinese peony. I don't know what kind of peonies we have here. I love peonies. It's one of my favorite flowers. Snowdrop. Hi, Joseph. Welcome. For those of you that are just chiming in, I hadn't opened this deck, so I just want to quickly go through all of the cards. And you know, something I'm really loving about this deck is the white chrysanthemum. Look at the Japanese, the pagoda in the background. That's really beautiful. I'm loving the style of the background. Love is red carnation. And there's a real sense of different cultures and different places in the world in the background if you look carefully. Cherry blossom is peace. Himalayan blue poppy. Oh, I'm really, really liking this deck. Queen of the night is power. Protection. Poinsettia is purpose. Do you say poinsettia or do you say poinsettia? Poinsettia. Sacred blue lily. White hibiscus. We don't have hibiscus here either, naturally. Wild sunflower. Wild sunflower may be Rudimbacia. I'm not sure. And let's just double check if she has the Latin names in the guidebook, because that's another thing that is really, really useful in a botanical oracle or a botanical tarot, is if the creator refers to the Latin names, because like I was saying, different parts of the world. No, this is Helianthus anus. Different places in the world know these plants by different names. Jasmine. All right, here's one that's going to throw me. Looks like a Japanese name. Pohutakawa. Maybe Hawaiian name. Pohutakawa. Wild rose. I think those grow all over the world. Scarlet paintbrush. Wow, these are just gorgeous. I wonder if Mexican marigold is calendula and then magnolia is the last card. So 44 cards in this set. And I will share a little bit in the guidebook. Her guidebooks are just fantastic. Mexican marigold is Tagetes erecta. She has gardening tips in this book. Gardening tips, the botanical profile, and then for the oracular message, she has meanings and challenges. So it's a really thorough little guidebook. She also talks about the place that the plant is native to. So these are, like I was saying, I was sensing these are all over the world. And if you look at the guidebook, so she's got this little bit of place down here. The 43rd card, that Mexican marigold, one of the longest lasting of all pre-Columbian civilization centers, carved from the mountains in. So she goes to talk about the habitat in which the flower grows. So this is gorgeous. Now this deck, I'm just going to push it up here, is quite different from her from the mini deck. So the mini deck is black. It looks a little bit like Flowers of the Night, but Flowers of the Night does not have color. And so the minis are all kind of different. Some of them have different backs. This one all has the same back, which is really pretty. And you do have the Latin name on the mini card. A keyword. So for Sweet Alyssum, it's clarity. For Wisteria, longevity, and plan for and take the dedicated path. So there is an inspirational message. I love these little decks. I have a couple different places where I keep them, and I switch them up seasonally. Nasturtium, grounding, the beginning is where you need to be. And then I'll show you Flowers of the Night. Flowers of the Night this would actually be a really interesting duo of decks to have sort of if you consider the daytime to be masculine, right, connected to sun, the nighttime feminine to be connected to, right, feminine, masculine, day and night. It would be kind of fun to do a reading using both of these decks in that way. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just push these over and I want to show you, those are the backs, by the way. I have used Flowers of the Night a lot. These decks, I find them the keywords are excellent, and to use them in combination with any number of tarot decks just works really well. Okay. So I just want to go through and see if there's any repeating flowers. And these are flowers that would bloom in the night, as well as there's some animals as well that are nocturnal. Darwin's orchid, clove pink, night orchid. Just going to quickly go through here and see if there's any. No, because these are all night blooming flowers. So it would make sense that this is a whole different set of cards. Casablanca lily. I've really, I want to say of all of my botanical decks, this one has had a lot of use. It's one of those decks. So yeah, Queen of the Night is in, let's just compare. So here's Queen of the Night, and we'll find, because I saw that in the other deck, this is what I was looking for. I just want to see what her different take on Queen of the Night is. No, it's the same keyword. Okay, so that's contrasting both of these decks. And I'll do a quick go through and see if there's any others. Oh my God, look at that card. It's so beautiful. There probably won't be. There is Japanese wisteria. We had wisteria in this card, which was patience. This was a really fun exercise that took me forever. So there was a lot of time that was put into the video three years ago, when I was doing pre-recorded videos. Okay, I won't do this again, but I said let's just do this one. There's Protea, just in case. It's going to be the very last card. Oh, I can't find it. What was I looking for? Wisteria. I'm sure Wisteria was in this deck, but maybe not. Okay, so there you go. So there are 3 upper decks, and then the other one is quite different. Okay, so that's Flowers of the Night, the Language of Flowers, Mini Language of the Flowers. I want to go to some of your comments. Sharon. Okay. Yeah, and the little creatures are adorable. I used it together with Sasarai and wow. Okay, so yes, flowers, because of the heavy black lines in Sasarai, it would look amazing. It really would. So the other deck of Sherilyn Darcy's, which is not flowers, it is it's along, I want to say it's along the lines of Herbcrafter. There are, again, amazing keywords, and this one includes herbs, fruits, and vegetables. And it's called the Green Witch Oracle. So the plants all have astrological associations. And there's abundance of information in this deck. So you will probably see some of the same flowers. Marigold, chives. It's nice that we see the chive blooming. And I'll just show you how. So this guidebook, I believe, is in alphabetical order. I hope so. Oh, it does have a number. It does have a number. Thank the Lord for that. Yes, it does have cultivation information, and as well, it has magical practices. So this one is called the Green Witch Oracle, and it's a really fun little oracle. So if you were new to working with plants in this way, it's a great little deck, and it pairs beautifully with Herbcrafter, which we'll be looking at a little bit later. And I'll do a poll. Actually, I might do the final reading with this deck and Herbcrafter because they work so very well together. Okay. Oh, look at I love that. Rosemary. Okay, so Sherilyn Darcy, her decks are really, her guidebooks are really well done. So if you feel like a bit of a rookie in the herb, plant, flower department, she is a great teacher for that. Okay, so let's just tidy up a little bit. Let's go to and again, with the black lines, right? So any deck that has a black, heavy black lines as the art style, the artwork style, or I've also paired it with a deck like Lily Black, or there's just so many. And another great deck in this regard is the Michelle Mutuzis's Shamanic Healing. So it's in the same way because it's nature-based. It works with so many decks. Super versatile. Okay. Ooh, lots of comments here. All right. Hello, Eliza. Welcome to our chat today. All right. So I need a system so I know what's what. I need a system because I will be pulling out some of these later. Let's put that there. Okay. And we'll do tarot in a little bit. Let's save that. Okay. Herbs. Do I have other herb-centered decks that... Let's go to Cielo Thompson's deck. I have not been working with Cielo's decks for some time. I was like... they were staples of my practice. And I feel like so this is the Hedgewitch Botanical. There's a couple of Hedgewitch decks out in the mass market, available in the mass market. And so the Hedgewitch, much like the Green Witch that I just showed you by Sherilyn Darcy, has information not only using the plants, and I'll show you the guidebook, it's just amazing. Not only using it for nutritional purposes, but also for magical purposes as well too, healing purposes, so plant medicine and so forth. One of the things I love about this deck is the Latin name is on the card, and that is really helpful if you know what you're doing, and especially if the deck creator has used another name. So for example, this particular plant, she calls it bearberry. I'd never heard it called this name. We call this kinnikinnick where I live. And so by cross-referencing the Latin name, I was able to figure out, and so that's really useful. So we have pine, and I believe there might be juniper berries as well too. And the keywords are really well done. Like I understand why she has chosen the keywords. Elder is ritual. And I really want to show you the guidebook because it's called a field guide. It's magnificent. Now, Ciolo lives in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And so the habitat the places where she forages, how she gardens is very similar to where I live. And it's so funny because I just mentioned calendula. I only have one calendula blooming in my garden so far. It's very sad. Okay, so there's a multitude of names that the flower goes by. And then she talks about the plant itself and the history of the plant, where it is native to. This is a really thorough guidebook. Okay. There is oracular information. There is information on how to use the plant. So she goes into details like using the flowers. These are the seeds. Calendula seeds are really cool if you've never planted calendula. How to use the roots, the leaves, and so forth. So there's a lot of information here. And I believe with some of the cards, there's connections to the tarot as well too, from my memory. And then in the back of this guidebook, and I've actually used some of these recipes. In the very back, there are recipes. And so she talks about making teas, rowan berry schnapps. There's a recipe for a Mabon tea bath, summer berry crumble. Like there's lots of recipes here, and the recipes are organized by season. So this is a great investment if you're looking for inspiration for working with. And we probably, when I'm doing in case you're not aware, the next tarot deep dive is going to be with the Herbcrafters, and I will be using this deck as well for inspiration and reference. So it's definitely going to stay out and not get put away. Aisha, hello. Okay, let's go on. Trees. I'm just going to put trees all together. And another deck that I have used so much is the Druid plant. And in many different ways, I have used this deck. It is full of, for those of you that love Druid craft, and if you have Druid animal, and this is not one that you have picked up, like the other decks, the description includes what is happening in the background. It talks about the relationship between the plants and if there's any fauna that appears in the card as well too. And the artwork is just so beautiful. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about the magic of the plants through this deck. I've learned a lot about the history of the Hedgewitch. There's so much magic. This deck really has it's a very magical deck. Very magical. And you can see it's the same, right? It's Will Worthington's art. So it fits really well with all of the Will Worthington decks. And there are 3 cards that have multiple plants on them. And one of them you saw already. It's called the Banes, and one is the Restorers. And this guidebook I do need to show you in case you don't have Druid plant. I mean, this is this deck has been around for some time. Let's see when it first. Druid plant, first published in 2007. This edition is 2018. So this is, okay, let's go to mistletoe, which is the last card I showed you. It also talks about the god and goddess associations. It gives you the Druidic pronunciation. It gives you the Latin name, keywords for upright, keywords for reversed. It talks about the plant itself, both the plant, an oracular message, a reversed oracular message, and depending on the card. So there's a section that has it's green, a light green bolding, and this talks about the magic, the medicine, and some of the older history of the deck as well too. So much like the Hedgewitch, this is very much a staple, and not just for studying and working with plants, but this has a very powerful. It has very powerful messages. I've linked it with all kinds of different tarot decks, and just had the most beautiful readings. And provided you take your time with it, because when you're working with a deck like this, you're not going to, unless you're intimately familiar with Fir Club moss, but you get a sense, right? Because we're in the shadow, we're in the forest, and I don't know, it's intuitively, with the way the backgrounds are drawn and everything, it's not a difficult read. Hi Mel, welcome. Okay, so that is that. Flower. I did want to mention something, and I need to add this to my list of future deep dives. And for those of you that are into yoga anatomy or Reiki healing or things like that, I want to, so this is Oracle of Oddities 1, 2, and 3 combined as a deck. Unfortunately, in the guidebook for Antique Anatomy, so this is a Claire Goodchild deck, we don't get information. She doesn't detail the particular bones and parts of anatomy in the book, or the organs that are shown. A lot of it is intuitive, and there's also very little information about the plants. So what I would like, actually, I know information about the plants or the insects. So what I would like to do is to spend some time going through Antique Anatomy and Oracle of Oddities and preparing a study. And I think this might be worthy of a study, like a study group on Facebook or something, because it's going to take forever to match and to do the prep for that. But I use Oracle of Oddities when I'm doing yoga teacher training or when I'm doing a healing workshop, and I would love to write my own manual and notes about how to use this deck more. So I'm super interested in that. And I know not everybody nerds out on the bones and the organs and things, but I really do. Yeah. Another very versatile botanical deck. So a lot of tarot decks have that, not a lot, some have that kind of tea-stained background. If you're working with one that is like a vintage style deck, the way that this one is set up, with the way the graphics are set up, it works really well with that sort of a deck. And again, the keywords are, and the little messages. So you don't need to go to the guidebook because you've got a little message on the card, as well as keywords, the Latin name and everything is there. This is Botanical Inspirations by Lynn Araujo. I'm sure most of you know this deck. So this is another one that I have used a lot. It pairs really nicely. I think I actually use this in my deck combo videos several times. I'm just thinking what's on my tarot table right now. And there's, you know, much like the, what did we just look at? The Hedgewitch Botanical, there's lots of space, so it's not too busy. And yes, for sure, a card a day is a great practice with all of this. Okay. So yeah, so this is Lynn Araujo, the Botanical Inspirations. And this one was included in my little study that I did 3 years ago. I can't believe that was 3 years ago. Okay. All right, so let's put that there. I have not included, if you do have a question for me, put it in caps because I'm trying to watch the chat, but would it go, this is the deck that Dee is talking about. So let's have a look. Can somebody please put the name of the tarot deck in the chat, please? Because somebody's going to say, what is this? And then I'm going to have to use my poor French pronunciation. I think so. I think it's a little different energy, but yes, I think it would be, I think it would work. I think it would work. There you go. Thank you for that, Hannah. All right, so that is Botanical Inspirations. Mira, today I received my Ramour Tarot. So happy, but had to sprinkle the cards with fanning powder. Oh, okay. Mine were fine, but okay, that one we'll put in its box. Ooh, yes, I love that copper color. That deck would look gorgeous with copper edges. It would look fantastic. All right, so here we go. This is not a deck I've ever included in my botanical discussions. This is a deck for wonder walking, and I wonder if we could include this deck here. And I just pulled it out, and I wonder, maybe not. Maybe not. It was just a thought. Okay, so no, this is not a botanical deck. I thought I might be able to squeeze it in there, but no, it's a liminal space. It is a magical forest, liminal space kind of experience, but it is definitely not a botanical deck. Okay. All right, so let's go to Soulflower. And This is I do not have the mass market version, which is now available. This is the indie version. So this is Lisa Estabrook. I'm just looking to see if there's a date on this one. And I want to get the journal because the journal is the highlight of this one. The Wildwood Tarot may very well be. Okay, so let's go to Columbine. And I haven't written on this card, so let's back off. Oh, come on. Okay, so this is the, oh, are you seeing, okay, I want to ask you a question. Are you seeing the words backwards? Something is reversed. That's weird. My camera doesn't usually do this. I apologize. If you've been seeing everything backwards, I apologize. Something is not right here. There we go. I'm sorry if you saw that everything backwards the whole time. Okay, now it should be right. Can you confirm that you're seeing it the right way now? Okay. I must have hit something on my camera to see it backwards. So here is the Columbine card. And in this particular journal, there's like a coloring page. And I haven't done that. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. Let's go back. Because this is such a beautiful, beautiful journal. Okay, so across from the and if you look at the card, this is the message that's on the card. And you have all of this beautiful information. I have no idea what's included in the mass market deck, what you get if there's a little white book in there. So yeah, and then there's a little place for your own notes. So this is such a gorgeous, the journal's called Tending the Garden of Your Soul. Okay. Why did nobody speak up and say, Sadhana, your camera is backwards? Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. All right. Trees. Now, this deck I didn't pull out the other day when I was talking about, I forget what the theme was, and somebody asked me why I didn't have out my soul trees decks. And what? So now it's backwards? Oh my goodness, I don't know. So now is it forwards or now is it backwards? These particular, in a way, these are trees. And sometimes you can figure out what kind of a tree it is. If it's a mighty oak or if it is a cherry blossom tree. For the most part, you cannot figure out what the tree is. Okay, thank you, Donna. I use this as a chakra deck. And this deck comes with 7 chakra cards, which I took out because I feel they're redundant. But if you are into trees or you are using a deck that is heavily tree based, so this looks beautiful. I'm just thinking of the Lover's card in the Lily White Tarot, which is a deck that I use all the time. and how beautiful this would look with that deck. It has, so this particular one has quite a soft color palette, except for a few cards, which are tug more at your nervous system. The thing about this deck is it really gets you thinking about roots, trunk, branches, and the relationship with the tree. These are absolutely fantastic cards. So this one is quite different from, and sorry, this is Allison Williams Yee. Is that right? Yes, Allison Williams Yee. So this is Soul Trees, and this other one is called the Ascension deck. It's a little bit different. It does have trees. Let's put that there so you can see. It does have trees, but it has a little bit different energy. And there are other kinds of cards as well too. So it's not only trees. To me, this one feels more ethereal. It has I don't know, this is more of a magical quality. This is a chakra deck. There's just something, so example, you can't really see the tree in that card. This card looks very much like this deck. This deck reminds me a little bit of earthly souls and spirits. So that kind of energy. And these are the only two decks of hers that I have. Interesting. So there's a series of cards. So there's Feel and Breathe. Look at this. This is a really beautiful card. This one's got to stay out. I need to play with this more. I need to use this more. And yes, this is also a very works well if you're my client practice with, I don't call myself a life coach, which is really interesting. I've been watching a few life coaches broadcasts lately, and when you work with me, I work on a energy level and share lots of different kinds of practices to help you move energy and get through your challenges. And I don't know what is unique about what it is that I do, but I've had so much good feedback lately, and part of that I feel is my connection with the energy of all things. And when I was just looking at this deck right now, it just makes me so grateful, and so grateful for the years and the amazing teachers that I have had that have shared their wisdom and helped me to understand what it means to commit to your own healing. And it's just been amazing, some of the things that have happened with some of the people that I'm working with. Especially recently, I feel like there's been a lot of change lately with people stepping through their walls, through their barriers. Will Worthington, John Matthews. I'm sure you know all of these names. Okay, now this is a book I have not. This is not a book or a deck I have dived into. It was my intention to purchase some OM oracles to throw, and eventually I'm going to do an OM study, and it's just something that hasn't been on my list. It hasn't made it to the top of my list. So this is a deck that works with the Oghams. It works with the Celtic, with the trees in the UK. A lot of these trees we have here in Canada as well too. It's quite a small deck, so it's only and this was a reprint. So this deck went by a different name at some point, and I did do a video on this. You can find more information. It is 25 stunning green man cards, and you can see the green man in all of the trees. And much like the Druid plant, the Druid animal, the Druid craft tarot, there is a component of being able to read it intuitively because of the setting you find the tree in. But the layer that I want to dive into and do a study is to learn the language of the Oghams. That's something I would absolutely love to do. Okay, so Lydiane asks, if it's possible, in yoga practice, exists it a moon salutation? Yes, there is a moon salutation, and you will see different teachers offer a moon salutation in different ways. So the way that when I do a sun salutation, I'm very conscious of the fact that there are 12 zodiacal signs. And so the sun salutation has 12 components. It also has more of a fiery quality. A moon salutation has 13, right? Half of the lunar cycle. So you do half on one side of the body and half on the other side. It is more flowy, and it is definitely cooler. It's meant to be a cooling practice, not a heating practice. And not all yoga teachers come at it from that level of awareness. But yes, I do teach and practice moon salutations, and those are practiced at the new and around the 72 hours of the full moon. Yes. Yeah, so this is a really powerful deck connected to the energy of the green man. I am really loving that suggestion that just came up by Dee. So let's have a look at that. So the brightly colored deck that Dee is referring to is from the US, and it's called Tarot of the Aux Arcs. Tarot, not Tarot des Aux Arcs, but Tarot de Aux Arcs. And this is the one that I say it always reminds me of the paint chip. And let's have a look at this one. And I'll get Soul Trees back out. Hello, Annette. Welcome. Yeah. Oh, that feels good. Shuffling is just so good for the soul. Okay. Where are we going with this? I need to know which way I'm putting these. Let's figure this out. I think maybe Hedgewitch. Let's try Hedgewitch. Oh, it's too white. Too white. Okay, so not Hedgewitch. Let's see. Oh, probably yes. Okay. I don't know. What do you think, Dee? Sort of goes. It's not, to me, it's not something not quite right. Let's try. Flowers of the Night or Green Witch, maybe. With more pippy cards, yeah, not with the majors so much. But I think this deck might work with it as well too. This is such a versatile deck. Okay, so this process, it's really great to have a whole bunch of cards out on the table to be in this process, because you know, you have a sense that a certain deck will go with certain cards, and sometimes it takes a little bit of fiddling. Okay. All right. We haven't even gotten to tarot decks, and we're at the hour, but there's not that many. Okay. I think I'm done with oracles. Oh no, I've got one more oracle. And this one, this is such a beautiful deck. I have all of, and so I have the junior decks. I have older version of the junior decks. I think a newer version is coming out. I have 2 of the minis and all of Rebecca Lefebvre's decks. This one is called the Flora Healing, and the paper, the cardstock on these decks is absolutely gorgeous. So I was just looking at the passion flowers. So what you have is a detailed oracular message on the back. So there is no guidebook. You do have the Latin name, and she has associated each of the flowers, each of the plants, with an element. So this one is associated with ether, this one with water. So sage with water, the keyword is cleanse. Sunflower with air. Interesting. So again, if you like to nerd out on this kind of stuff, it's really fun to pull out 3 or 4 sunflower cards from different decks and to see where the creator is going with that. It's a great, great exercise. This one is called Flora Healing by Levesque. I was going to say by Avec La Vie, by Rebecca Lefebvre. Her business name is Avec La Vie. Yeah. Okay. I have all of my decks by, now I'm going to blank out on their name, the Maiden Oracle, Pythia Botanica, and the other deck. I have sold all of those decks, so I don't have those anymore. I have the Botanical and the Botanica tarots, and I have spent, so this is the Botanica. This was a Kickstarter way back. This is by Kevin J. Stanton, 2020. And this particular deck, what I did, because it's not easy to use this kind of a deck as a tarot deck. Dandelion as the Fool works. Okay, that's kind of, to me, that's easy peasy. It's also, if you are familiar with the plant, it's a heck of a lot easier if you read the tarot to work with it. So what I did when I was studying this deck is to just work with the majors. So I just worked with the majors, and then I just worked with the wands and so forth. And I haven't had this out for a little while, but this is a really beautiful deck. The guidebook is fairly simple. There could be a lot more information in the guidebook. So again, if you like the energy of plants, and if you connect with plant medicine, this is a really great deck. And I'll show you one of the, so you can see here, right? Look at the little symbol at the top. You also have to learn the symbols. Okay, so let's go to the High Priestess. And it's fairly intuitive. Okay, the High Priestess. Oh, isn't that interesting? That is in the wrong place. That's so funny. In my guide, I have noticed, I've had this for 2 years. I've never noticed this, but my guidebook has an error. And I'm wondering that's so weird. So I actually don't have information on the elderflower. I just have the keywords, because the magician is printed twice. It's printed for the magician, and it's also printed for the High Priestess. But the keywords are intuition, a rich interior, wisdom, hidden secrets, and magic. Let's go to a different one. So you can look at the symbol here. That is the wheel. So let's go to number 10. Now I'll just believe that is the wheel. No, it's not the wheel. What is that? So not entirely intuitive. So quince is the world. Isn't that interesting? Because the symbol, let's just look at that. So this is the symbol. It's got the 4 quadrants, like we see the 4 symbols around the quadrants of the world, as well as the wheel. And the wheel is star anise. Okay. I'm not going to take the time to look for that. So the guidebook is fairly simple for this one. There are keywords, and it tells you a little bit about the plants and so forth. This is a small guidebook, so this is the size of my hand. It is a hard cover book. But there's something about this tarot that really intrigues me. And again, it's the whole nighttime thing. It's the black background. But I really strongly suggest, if you're if you're working with a plant, a botanical tarot, that you take your time with it, and get to know it. I haven't, and the thing is, I did that with these cards, but then I stopped using them, so I need to go back and do that eventually. I'm really excited about getting into the Herbcrafter deep dive. The other one that I mentioned is Jessica Botts, and I shared this recently in Irreplaceable Decks. Irreplaceable Decks. So this one I have organized. So this is both a tarot and an oracle. And so this is the full tarot deck, and there's another, I believe, 4 suits. So there's 5 suits here and 4 suits here. So this is an enormous deck. It has 9 suits, and all 9 suits work really, really well together. And so let's look at the oracle. And if you like the Jessica's art, you'll love this deck. So this is a suit of poisons. Have I sorted it? Yes, I have. This one because I just put it back in the box. So there in the oracle, there's the suit of poisons and the suit of herbs and the suit of medicines. I'm actually most intrigued into doing a deep dive with this deck. And then there's the suit of mushrooms, which is something I really need to study and learn more about. And then the other one is the carnivorous suit. And there's 2 extra cards. There's a T card, which may be a future deck, as well as an unknown card. It's the seed pod. So I think this particular deck has so much potential. The suits in the tarot are spices. So spices would be for wands, right? Spices. Listen, oh, I love it. Cacti. So cacti is swords. Love that sound. Cacti. Flowers. So flowers is going to be cups. And crops. So crops is going to be pentacles. And then the majors are trees. Okay. So I'm very, very intrigued with this deck. And this is why I don't need any more decks. I really don't. I have so many amazing decks that I have not spent enough time with. And I've done really well this year. I have not purchased. I've purchased a few Lenormand because I've really been doing a lot more Lenormand readings, and that was prompted, of course, by doing the study. But I've not purchased any tarot decks this year, so that's great, 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 great for me. Okay. Yes, a commitment. Now, another one, and I know this deck has come out in there's been a new version of it. And the reason I'm sharing this one today is because if you like plant medicine and you're also a crystal aficionado, this deck has both a crystal and a plant. So this is Peridot and Wisteria. Now this is a tarot. There's extra cards, and this version of the deck is very hard to distinguish the suits, but there's something very special about this one too that would be worthy of a study. And the creator of this deck, Lunaria Gold, does have a geological background of some sort. So part of the project was to endeavor to draw the crystals as they truly appear. And so there's been a lot of effort with that. And in the guidebook, you get information about both the plant and the crystal. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay, so and again, I don't know what the newer version, if there were what the changes were. There was lots of requests for changes for font colors and so forth. But yeah, so this is, if that's your thing, crystals and plants, you might really like this deck. Okay. Oh, well, what Lenormand decks did I buy? I bought 2 versions of the Midia Lenormand. And this, I'll just answer this really quickly because I'm going to do a reading because it's Leo season. Happy Leo season, everybody. And this little pouch. So I bought 2 versions of the Midia. This is the mini sepia. This is the color normal size, regular size. So I bought those. And I bought a mini lavender Lenormand. If you follow Kelly at The Truth in Story, she talks about Deirdre. This is the back of the lavender Lenormand. And so yes, I bought this mini. So I now have 3 mini decks, the 1889, the lavender, and the sepia Midia. So Deirdre is going to make me a tiny, tiny little pouch for the lavender Lenormand. Yeah, contacted her. And I purchased, so the Da Vinci Lenormand and the Blue Water Lenormand. I'm going to do a side-by-side of those. That is coming up. So this is the Da Vinci Lenormand. Don't know if the Blue Water's on my table. So this Lenormand comes in a few different colorations. And I am going to do a side-by-side of the blue one and the sepia one very soon on my channel. I'm going to do deck walkthroughs and reviews on Wednesday afternoons. So that's the plan. Okay. Oh, okay. So let's that's great to know. Yeah. I will not be repurchasing it, but when I go back to study it, I may actually write on some of the cards. Yes. This is like if you go into your closet and you take something out of your closet and you still have clothes with tags that you've never worn, right? Not a good thing. Oh yes, and I also have the Forager's Daughter. So last Wednesday I started the walkthrough of the Forager's Daughter, and I am going to carry on with the walkthrough and initial impressions next Wednesday. And the Forager's Daughter does have animals in it, but I think it can be included in this category because it's called the Forager's Daughter, right? It's about the plants. And so this is about the ecology, the synergy, the reciprocity, about both the flora and the fauna. Okay, so we'll look more at that on Wednesday. And then the Herbcrafter's Tarot. And I'm going to use the Herbcrafter's Tarot right now for a reading. And so, yeah, so here we go. The deep dive for the Herbcrafters starts on August 3rd. The first video will be public, and then the deep dive series will return to a members only feature. Okay. This is a This is a reading for the collective for the opening of Leo season on the 22nd day of July, 2022. And the moon is waning. The sun, sorry, let's look at the moon is waning, and the moon will be moving into Gemini when? Let's just look at the timing here. Tonight. So the moon is presently in Taurus and will be moving into Gemini tonight. The new moon in Leo. Let's just double check the date for that. The new moon in Leo is next Thursday. So next Tuesday on my channel, I will be doing, I really like to do the readings within 72 hours. So that is within 72 hours. So I'll do a new moon in Leo readings next Tuesday when I go live there. Okay. Foragers, I'm going to go to your question. Forager's daughter, by the nature of the name of the deck, is about foraging, but it is about, it is a plant and it's a flora and a fauna deck. The sun is sextile to the moon at 10:58 p.m. And Donna, hello, Susan. Susan, I need which botanical deck? Which botanical deck? This one. This is by Jessica Bott, and it's available on her Etsy shop. And tomorrow or tonight, I will edit the description box below, and I will put all the decks down below with a link to where you can get them. Okay. All right. So this is a reading for the collective for the 22nd day of July, 2022, as we enter into Leo season. I'm feeling very, I had a great walk with Amber this morning and feel inspired. The energy definitely is shifting, and I feel a lightness and a potential. I've also been seeing a lot of dragonflies over the last 24 hours. So the energy definitely is changing. So I think I'll do 3 cards, or maybe I'll just do 2 cards and I'll pull one from the Oracle. I think I'll do that. Sometimes less is more, you know? And we start the deep dive with the Herbcrafters. I'm actually going to be starting with the Corianders, which are the kings, as the inspiration for working with this deck. Echinacea. Ugh. My echinacea is not in bloom yet. Okay. And I'm also going to do, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about the particular numbers. So we have challenging cards. We have a 3 and we have a 5. 3 of air and 5 of fire. Okay. 3 of air and 5 of fire. Let's pull the oracle and then we'll just weave this all together. And there's something about the medicine of the plants, despite the challenging energy of the tarot layer itself, huckleberry resourcefulness. Okay. And that's a really interesting keyword to show up. So one of the things that, and this is a funny story, I don't know if this is funny, it's from my childhood. My mother used to always associate summer holiday. It seemed like, how can I explain this? Sometimes when we go on holiday, when we take a break from work, it's almost as if the physical body goes into shock. It's pretty common to get sick when you go on vacation, or sick when you take a holiday, because the body is shifting gears. And I remember she often got tonsillitis in the summer. It was like there was something about that drastic shift. And that was a memory of summer. But also as a school teacher, when I was teaching public school, I remember the Christmas holidays. It was like all of the go go go, and like you slow down for the holidays, and there was like this surge of stuff that just needed to move through. And so what I'm feeling in the energy of this reading, sorry, I'm not reading your comments, I'll come back to that in a minute, is this energy. So as we shift into summer, the tendency is to go, go, go. And the tendency is to kind of move away from the self-care, because we assume that the vitamin D and the great frequency of the space of summer is going to take care of itself. But the honest truth is that we need to be as mindful during vacation time and holiday time as we are during the rest of the year. And I know it's not summer for those of you that are in the southern hemisphere. There's also, I want to bring in this energy of the 3 of air as well too, because sometimes in connecting with family or with old friends or family reunions or other things that arise during the summertime, there's a piercing of patterns that comes up again and again. So I'm feeling a need for tender loving care, personal TLC, personally nourishing, and really prioritizing oneself. Okay. There's a couple of things that I want to share about the numbers. So in this deck, each of the numbers is associated with a certain kind of plant. The 3s are easy to grow, very easy to grow plants. And I think that energy in the Echinacea card is a reminder that, and I'm looking at this keyword here too with huckleberry. Huckleberry is kind of naturally replenishes itself, right? Is the medicine is always available to us. And it's not a lot of trouble to take care. All that's needed is a little bit of focus and attention and energy. And while these are easy to grow, these are endangered plants or endangered species. So there's an interesting juxtaposition in these two cards facing each other, right? One is prolific, one is one that we need to tend to really carefully. So there's a message here about tending for oneself, tending to oneself, tending to. I'm also feeling the smallness of these numbers, like the little things matter. So for example, you get a rash, you rub against a certain plant, or you cut yourself at the beach. To take care of the little things, to take care of the little cuts, the little rashes, because they can turn into something much bigger. So look after them while they're small. Does that make sense? Okay. I considered trimming it. It's a bit of a project. It's quite, so I'm not a fan of US Games cardstock. It's quite thick. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Okay. I'm going to do one more thing before I leave you. I just want to go and look at a message from the guidebook. I think what I was intuiting is exactly what needs to be shared at this time. And I also want to encourage you to allow. A lot of the time when we get a plant medicine deck or an herb deck, there is a tendency to over study, over research, and not allow the intuitive mind to read the energy of the cards. And that's something I want to focus on in the deep dive too. I want to respect the built-in layers that Joanna Powell Colbert has put into the deck. And the Letitia Guthrie is the one who wrote the guidebook. The artwork is by Joanna Colbert. I want to respect the layers that are built into the deck, but I also want to spend some time talking about how to read decks like this intuitively. And that's really what came through in this particular reading. And so for some reason, the mood, the colors, inspired, and also because I know what the 3 of air means and the 5 of fire means, it inspired a memory. And so I went with the memory and then built the story from there. So trust what comes through, and then go from there. And I really, really look forward to our lengthy deep dive into the Herbcrafters. It's going to be fantastic. Okay. So take good care. And today is Friday, so I will see some of you on Tuesday. Okay. Have a lovely weekend. Namaste, everybody.